Houston Rockets on a 4-game winning streak. Will and I are going to talk about that, key takeaways from that stretch. And people have been talking about a hypothetical Ja Morant trade. So Will and I are going to give our thoughts on that as well. So stay tuned for this episode of the Brad and Will Show.
All right, and welcome back to the episode of the Brad and Will Show. I'm your host, as always, Will, joined by my co-host, Brad, as always. And today we're going to be talking about the Houston Rockets going on. I guess last time we spoke on here was what they won two straight, right? So this is two more after the two straight. Yep. Talk about those two recent wins, and then of course, as Brad talked about, there's been some Ja Morant chatter going around out there that we can talk about for the Houston Rockets. But yeah, man, Brad, what you think about these last two games for the Houston Rockets?
Yeah, so of course the first two wins were good, but they were against Brooklyn. And I'm blanking on the second one, but it wasn't as impressive either. Was it? I don't know why I'm blanking on the second one. Look at me. So many.
Toronto.
See, okay, it's not just me. Who was it? Toronto? Yeah.
Toronto.
So those teams are not very good. So it was okay. Yes, the Rockets took care of business. That's what we want to see. So they went in to play Boston, and they took care of business against Boston. And I'll speak on that game really quickly. What I loved about that matchup was they just manned up Boston, right? And they don't have the personnel to where you really need to go zone. I'm sure Will and I will touch on zone a bunch in this podcast, but yeah, they just ran straight up man to man, and they locked up Boston, and that was the best defense they played the entire season by far. It was a fun game. They were moving the rock, ton of fast break points, and it was just easy. It was done before the end of the third quarter. So that's what I really loved about that matchup. I wanted to speak on Şengün and Amin Thompson. I thought it was hilarious. Well, I want to get your thoughts too before I continue. They were fighting for a triple double mid game, and I think at one point Amin was like, "Give me that shit." They're fighting for a board, so I thought that was funny. Yeah, they were having fun out there. It was a good game, and yeah, there's not really too many takeaways from that one. KD went crazy. Everyone was having a good time. It was a fun matchup. What do you think about that Boston game?
Yeah, I think I say all the time on these podcasts and TikTok, all that good stuff. Great teams embarrass the bad teams. The Celtics aren't necessarily a bad team in the sense of they're like god awful, but they are a team that is on the retool. I guess you could use that word, right? Jason Tatum's out with injury. They traded away Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, so they're not quite the same. Al Horford left in free agency. They're not quite the same team that they were last season, the season prior when they were, the champions. And so, in this kind of reset, retool kind of era for the Celtics, they're not going to be as competitive as they were a season or two ago. And we're trying to be competitive today. So you want to make sure that and I'm gonna like say I don't want to call them a bad team, but they should not be on our level. Right? It should be a clear tier difference between the Houston Rockets in 2026 and the Boston Celtics in 2026. And that full difference was on display in this regular season game. As you pointed out, everyone who played, for the most part, had a really good game. Game ball honestly could go to three different people because Kevin Durant was phenomenal. He had 26 points on 87 true shooting. I mean, we talk about effortless buckets and 30 minutes because spoiler alert, we didn't have to play in the fourth quarter, right? All of our, not just our starters, but our bench unit, our second unit got to rest by the 8-minute mark. We were putting in the third stringers at the 8-minute mark of the fourth quarter. So yeah, KD was obviously phenomenal. Then Şengün, same thing there, triple-double Watt, 16, 10, and 9. Then Thompson also on triple-double Watt, 17, 9, and 8. And like you pointed out, both of them were very well aware of that they were close to a triple-double. And so you saw him trying to get the assist. You saw Şengün obviously got the board needed. And then he would have got the assist, but then Reed Sheppard kind of he missed. And what's funny about Reed Sheppard, for a guy who has been struggling a lot recently, and we'll talk about it in a second, so he did struggle again yesterday against the Mavericks. Good game against the Celtics. He had 12 points in 17 minutes. He was 4-5 from the three-point line. Like I said, the only one he missed was the one that Şengün needed for the triple-double. So, just all around a great game from everyone who played, and we took care of business. I thought the defense was great, right? We played great defense on Jaylen Brown. Shout out to Amin. Shout out to Josh Okogie as well. He had made some huge threes for us, played really solid defense as well. All around just a great game. So, that's really my takeaways on that Celtics game.
I'll say this. Jabari Smith Jr., I want to touch on him having 4 blocks. Yeah, that tied his career high. That's the best I've
Yes.
seen him protect the rim. And they weren't just like some normal blocks. Like, Fred VanVleet gets those blocks. He's kind of just swiping down at the rock. Now, these were like meet me at the rim blocks that Jabari Smith Jr. had. And I love to see that because you have Şengün in this roamer kind of role, and Jabari's just kind of sitting there in the paint. And people are testing him, and it's coming out as people, you talk about Jabari, he doesn't have the best vert. He was getting up there to block these shots. He got Jaylen Brown. That was the one that everybody saw. That was a really clean one, and it ended up with an Amen Thompson fast break dunk. And then he had a few other ones. I forget who he blocked exactly, but he was really meeting these guys at the rim. So I was very impressed by that. Even though he only had 12 points, shot 5 of 10 from the field, 1 of 3 from three. I was really impressed by the defense, and he had some really good on ball possessions as well. He had Jaylen Brown 1v1. Jaylen Brown trying to hit him with a pump. Barry didn't budge, and Jaylen Brown ended up traveling. Those are little things, I like to see from Jabari Smith Jr. The rim protection is huge, especially with the size that he has as a defender. Um, and yeah, and if he's able to guard like that on the perimeter, that's something he's been, working on since he's been in the league. Relatively slow, moving his feet, getting burnt by guards and forwards. That's huge. So I want to give him a shout out. We can't give him a game ball, even the first 3 game balls in that one, but he's number 4. He had a good game in that one, so I had to give him a shout out. But we can jump to this ugly win against Dallas if you want to. I'll let you chime in first. We'll take the 8-point win. And that's good. We can call 8-point win ugly nowadays, but it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to win every game the perfect way, right? You can be a better team than somebody and they can still beat you. I think a perfect example of this was that game last season where we played the 76ers, I want to say in Philly. And we had our normal rotation. I don't believe anybody was missing off the top of my head. And then the
Mhm.
Sixers were obviously Paul George and Joel Embiid had been shut down. I'm pretty positive Tyrese Maxey did not play this game. It was like Quentin Grimes and what's the wing name? The dude, I'm visualizing him right now. I can't think of his name, but basically it was the Sixers G League team plus Quentin Grimes, and remember they just couldn't miss. Like they hit
Yeah.
a bunch of threes, and it took I believe it was Shingun. Was it no? No, it was Jabari. Jabari missed the free throw perfectly for Shingun to get the offensive rebound and put it back up and send us to overtime. And like we did go on to win that game, but you look at that and you're like, here's the number 2 seed in the West, and then a team that went on to pick number 3 in the draft, who, like I said, not only were they injured, like all of their guys were hurt, and we somehow went to overtime and almost lost to them. So I say all that to, I bring that up to say there are going to be nights where you're the better team and you still lose or you're still in a dogfight. I think this is an example of that where I think we're a better team than Dallas for sure, especially considering they're down Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving still out with his, I believe, is with the Achilles. Um, and then Derek Lively was out with his injuries as well. And then
Mhm.
Daniel Gaffer was on bench restriction. So, like, a lot of their key guys aren't even there. And then I think even if they were there, I think we're the better team. So, like, obviously, you look at this game and say we should have handled business similar to what we did against the Celtics. Even in Jabari's absence, because Jabari was not there. But we didn't. You had a game where PJ Washington had 29 points, 12 rebounds on 59 shooting. I had him in fantasy, so shout out to bro for helping me win this week. But yeah, man, like you have a night where a guy like that just has one of the best games of his career, honestly. And a huge reason for him having that good of a game was because the Rockets were in the zone. We
Mhm.
abandoned it against the Celtics for the most part, and it looked great. We clamped them up. We were getting out of transition. It was great. And then against the Mavericks, we went back to the zone. We saw a lot more of the double big lineups with the zone. And I say it all the time. I said it in the film reviews I've been doing on playback, which y'all should tap in with. I've been saying it on TikTok, all that good stuff. A 2-3 zone is the easiest thing in the league to beat. It's so easy, right? If you don't know how to beat a 2-3 zone, you shouldn't be in the NBA. It's because it's physically impossible. It's 2-3 is designed to give up something. You're choosing to give up something. And as an NBA team, all you do is just figure out what it is you want to give up. The Mavericks recognized that we were going to give up the little in between floater area, free throw extended, and they just put PJ Washington there, and PJ Washington killed us. And that's what happens when you go zone against professional athletes, man. They know how to beat it. And so I was a little bit frustrated that we stayed in that zone for as long as we did. I think we should have got out of it a lot sooner. Because obviously you have games like where PJ Washington goes off like that. And then it didn't
Mhm.
help that not only was PJ Washington killing a zone that we refused to get out of until it was kind of too little too late, outside of Min Thompson, no one really had a. I thought actually Tari Eason in there. I thought Tari had a pretty consistent offensive game relative to his role.
For
But
sure.
outside of Min and Tari, no one had the best offensive game. Kevin Durant had 21 points on 18 shots, 50 true shooting, which obviously isn't the greatest. And then Shingun had 26 points, 11 runs, 6 assists. It was 50% from the field, but he didn't make any of his free throws. Some of the shot selection wasn't the greatest, and there were some moments in time where you could look at him and say, "Well, I need you to do more." Um, one thing I looked at in the film review today was he bailed the defense out a lot and taking some shots that were ill advised as opposed to just biding PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford.
Mhm.
But the important thing is that in the clutch, Shingo not only did he get his one steal of the game was a deflection on a lob from D'Angelo Russell to Gafford, which reinforces my statement about I don't think that you have to go zone with Shingun. I think he's just mobile enough to guard the perimeter and rotate back and deflect lobs the way he did there. Then he got the crucial stop on D'Angelo Russell at the end of the game in the corner, which once again reinforces that as well. And then the biggest play of the day for Shingun obviously was when he walked down Daniel Gafford top of the key and hit a go-ahead bucket that, for the most part, sealed the win away. So that was that. Reach effort was putrid at times. Josh Okogie didn't have his best game. Satara was pretty solid. Aaron Holiday got in for a little period of time, gave us 6 quick points. But like I said, sometimes you're not going to win pretty every time. Sometimes you're going to have to go in there and dig deep and find a win. We find a way to win, and that's all that matters to me. We walk out with victorious.
Yeah, looking at the team stats, I mean, look again. The Rockets going to dominate on the boards. They did that. They out rebounded by 14 in this one. The main difference to me is they weren't getting out on the break like they were before. And in those games, they were blowing out teams. They were really running in transition. And that's where they were really getting those huge leads from. They didn't do that in this one. Um, yeah, and again, the zone. I felt like again, if you want to run it using a double big, I understand, right? If you don't want Steve-O running around out there chasing these guys. But there's sometimes it's overused, especially at the end of that game. Will tell you as well. We were watching the playback, and it's the end of the game, right? We're trying to get buckets and get some stops to close it out. And it seemed like anytime we got a bucket, they would get a quick one just because we're running 2-3 and they just run some basic little quick passes and get an open shot. And to me, the Rockets are too good of a defensive group, especially personnel wise, to even allow that to happen. And Ime Udoka is a great defensive mind, so I expect him to not run that as much, in my personal opinion, or maybe use it with the right personnel out there or when it's necessary. Because in that time, they could have just manned up and they would have been fine. That's just me. I'd love to see what they do going forward, but I mean, I see the logic, right? They shot really bad from three, 9 of 36 from three of their 36
I mean,
threes.
so that's the thing. That's what you give up in the zone. You either
Yeah,
give up that or you give up the three, right? And we took away the three, but what they did was they just put PJ Washington free throw extended, and he killed us in that little in between area. So
yeah,
like that's
because
that's a product of the zone. But
Yeah,
go
because
ahead,
I,
go ahead.
I looked it up. They only took 16 open threes in that game, which it wasn't as much as I thought. But and they only hit 5 of them, which is probably why they stuck in the zone. But yeah, they were giving up to way too many buckets inside the arc, and that was what was frustrating me. And again, they only gave up 102 points, which is good, but it was just a little frustrating. They could still be better, which is good. I mean, they won the game by 8, and I think they can be better. But personnel wise, Amin Thompson had his best game of the year by far. Had 27 points, 20 points in the first half, which was already a season high for him. Shot 11 of 18 from the field. Had some highlight plays, a block to seal the win. I just am infatuated by the kid. I think they were 4 of 10 when against him when he was primary defender as well. So he was locking up and he was scoring on the other end of the court. So shout out to him and Thompson. Will said it right on the money with Alperen Sengun, right? 26, 11, and 6 looks really good. And that 10 of 20 to the blind eye looks solid. But you get to the line 11 times, you can't hit 6. You gotta hit more than those. And yeah, we're at the point now where Sengun is good to the point where I wasn't pleased with that 26, 11, and 6 game. But I'm giving him all the credit in the world. He made some really good passes down the stretch to a man. And he closed out the game, had a nasty spin move on Gafford to get the bucket. That's his 4th bucket this year, I believe, in the last 2 minutes to tie to take the lead. So shout out to him for that. He's clutch. He's got that gene. And Tari Eason, yeah, best 3-point shooter on the team. He's been knocking down everything, 57%. Yeah, I never thought he'd be the best 3-point shooter on the team. Yeah, any stretch of the season. So I'm happy he came out hot, especially after that slow start in the preseason. But yeah, I'll say this about Reece Shepard. Will mentioned it. He looked really ugly at times. I thought he had a nice step back three over PJ. Had a really nice skip pass to, I believe it was Tari in the corner, and a nice pass
Yeah, he
to,
did. It was a
yeah,
skip to the tar in the corner. Yeah.
and he had a nice quick pass to Amen Thompson for a dunk in the half court as well. Outside of those three plays, he kind of looked lost out there. He was 2 for 7 overall. They didn't win his minutes by 5, but he's got to be better. Yeah, to the point where Ime's like, let me put in Aaron Holiday real quick. He should never have to do that. And I respect Aaron Holiday coming in, being ready, and looking good in his minutes. But if I'm Reece Shepard, I can't allow that to happen. He's only doing that because you're not doing your job, right? So, and again, he still hasn't played 70 career games. It's still early, but at the same time, if we're gonna be the team we want to be at the end of the year, we kind of need Reece Shepard to be the person we thought Reece Shepard was going to be. I'm not selling stock just yet. It was ugly at times, but yeah, I would like to not see Aaron Holiday out there, even though he produces. It's just I want to see Reed get to that point where we can just be comfortable with him. Do you agree with me in that sense, Will?
That you don't want to see Aaron Holiday on the court?
Like Aaron Holiday is a good basketball player, right? But ideally, if Reed's not performing, then you have to play Aaron Holiday. But I'm just saying in the sense that we'd like to see Reed get to the point where we don't have to play Aaron Holiday. That's pretty much what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
absolutely.
Yeah. So hopefully that happens. They got a game on Wednesday against Memphis. We'll see. They've been struggling. They got some issues going on over there. And that kind of actually goes into our next segment. Ja Morant has been beefing with the coach. It seems like they suspended him for one game. I guess if you watch that game, he had I forget which team they played, but
Lakers.
the Lakers. They said he looked checked out. Coaching staff was pretty much like, "Hey, it looks like you didn't want to be there. We were probably better off if we didn't play you." So, a lot of hypotheticals have been going out there. And before we even get into these hypotheticals, I'm a no for any hypothetical with Ja Morant. But people are talking about a Ja Morant trade to the Houston Rockets. So I guess we'll entertain it on the Brad and Will show today. So let me pass it off to Will.
I mean, y'all know I'm gonna say the thing I've been saying this whole time. Find me the salary. That's the first and most important thing you got to do. I think people just don't understand how trades work at all. And I'm not saying I'm not an expert when it comes to trades, but like, I mean, gotta match salaries. It's kind of like trading one on one. And obviously, yeah, as I keep reiterating, Fred VanVleet has a no trade clause, and you guys can try to rationalize it in your head all you want. He's not gonna waive it,
He's
and
not. Yeah, he's not
there's no
going nowhere.
reason for him to. There's absolutely no reason for him to waive that no trade clause. So, you're not trading Fred VanVleet's contract in a trade for Ja Morant, even if you wanted to. And I'm pretty sure that just makes it all but impossible to acquire his contract midseason. Now, maybe in the offseason you can kind of make some things shake, but midseason, I think it's not going to happen from a financial standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
From a fit standpoint, I think it's also pretty bad. Number one, I didn't watch the Lakers game live, but I did go back and rewatch some of the crucial moments of that game. He gave up. He quit. And I'm gonna be real. We've
It
had
was that bad.
yeah, he quit. He didn't try. He got the ball multiple times with mismatches and just did nothing with them.
Just passing it off.
Yeah, he did not try on defense. He did not, there was a lot of times where he was just at the logo on offense, just kind of watching his team play. He didn't try. And for me, it's like if I don't care what the situation is, as a competitor, you should never go out there and not try, right? Like you're getting paid billions of dollars to hoop. Um, it's nothing to try, and he didn't. And so, I mean, I get that there's probably some things going on behind the scenes that full context might make me take the side of Ja Morant a bit more than this team. But at the end of the day, I don't think there's really any excuse to give up on your team.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that's obviously pretty bad. And I don't want a guy who quits on his team, on my team. That's first and foremost. But then secondly, I think that Ja Morant is just a horrible fit with the Rockets. He's shooting, I want to say 14% from three right now, which is
14.
yes, I'm
I'm
positive
pulling up his
14.
stats right
It's
now.
like 13.9. Which is bad. Now mind you, it's like a 6-game sample size, so you, you
Yeah,
can't you
on
can't
5 attempts a game,
yeah.
13.9% is
It's
nasty.
like what 39% from the field.
Yeah, on 17 attempts a night. Yeah.
Yeah. So not only is he's missing, but small sample size. I don't think he's gonna shoot 14% from three the whole season.
Right.
But a consistent thing with Ja Morant's career is he's not the world's best shooter, and that's kind of something that the Rockets need more than anything right now is pull-up
Hmm.
shooting. Especially if you're going to me to share a backcourt with Amin Thompson. I just can't think of a more worse space backcourt than Ja Morant and Amin Thompson. And then Ja Morant is not an off-ball player, right? He because mind you, because he really can't shoot. He doesn't cut. He's 6'2", so right, he's not like how you can put a Min Thompson dunker spot when he's off ball. You can't do that with Ja Morant. You wouldn't do that with Ja Morant even if you could, right?
Hmm.
Um, and then he's not a good defender, right? So now your defense is taking a hit for somebody who doesn't fit with your offensive personnel because he can't play off ball to Shingo, he can't play off ball to Katie, he can't play off ball to Min. Not a active participant on defense. I think it's just a bad fit. If you told me I could buy, I'm talking about the lowest of lows, maybe I'd entertain it. But to give Memphis anything close to resembling what they'd want for John Morant in return, I'm 100% out. I think that would be a mistake. And once again, it's just not possible. So yeah, that's all I have to say about Ja.
Yeah, I won't even dive into what Ja has going on, but what we'll say first is all that matters in this conversation. They're not trading Fred VanVleet. Fred VanVleet's not waiving that no trade clause. That's really all there is to it. You can go through every hypothetical you want. The Rockets just aren't going to do that, especially a Rockets team that is big on
Continuity.
relationships and continuity and doing right by their guys. The only example where it probably does not work is Dylan Brooks, but he was just in by association. It sadly worked out with the salary when you had to trade for KD. But they're not just gonna they're not gonna do nobody wrong. They're not gonna trade Fred just because he had an ACL injury. He's gonna be back on the team next year. So yeah, that's not happening, guys. So all there really is to it. But yeah, I guess I will talk about the fit. The fit, it also doesn't work. Will got it on the money. If anybody's going to join this Rockets core, it needs to be a shooter. You have Ben Thompson, who is shooting like what 18% on wide open threes this year. Still not necessarily there. It's still 6 games. Maybe it improves, but obviously the spacing is not there with him. Şengün looks like the shooting is coming in, thankfully, but still, ideally, you want spacing around this Rockets group. And shout out to them for being the best 3-point shooting team in the league. I hope that does stick, but spacing is important for this group, and no, they don't necessarily need a guy who's not. And I'll say this: sure, Ime Udoka would get effort out of the guy, but you should never
Ime
need.
Udoka and John Morant would not get along, man. I can see it now, man. That would
I'd have to
not
see it. Yeah, I have to see it.
that would
Yeah.
not work.
But that's the thing I like about this Rockets team, though. You can criticize somebody, get on somebody, and it's all good. That's just how the culture is. They made it to the point where Ime talks to anybody, and they respect it. It's cool. You can get on somebody, no one gets in their feelings, nobody's tripping. A lot of basketball teams aren't like that, and you kind of see that with Memphis right now. You got suspensions being thrown around because you're getting called out for effort, and people don't like that. And I'm sure it's much deeper than that. I obviously don't know exactly what happened, but yeah, all I had to say, it's not happening, and he's not even a good basketball fit with the Rockets. So, yeah, he's got to get that true shooting percentage up, though, man. 50.6% is nasty. If you don't like true shooting percentage, 39 field goal percentage is not going to cut it. So, he's got to work on that, too. So, that's all I got, man. I'm ultimately just happy the Rockets won 4 straight, and we get to see what Memphis is looking like. We're recording this on Tuesday, so we'll see what Memphis is looking like against the Rockets tomorrow. So, that's all I kind of had to say on that front. In the comments, though, let us know what y'all think about a Ja Morant fit. Even though, again, Fred's not waiving the no trade clause. If y'all think the Rockets should try to trade him regardless, let us know. Again, it won't happen, but I'm curious to see what y'all think in the comments. But that's all I had to say on this one.
So bad too.
All right. Well, that's another episode of Brad and Will Show. Again, leave a comment, like, subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate y'all for tapping in. The subs have been going up. So, anyone that's new to the channel, much love and thank you. We'll keep bringing consistency to this channel and we'll be back soon. So, thank you guys.